twin brothers from Chicago's Little Village neighborhood. Pedro and Margarito Flores were El Chapo's biggest distributors here in the Midwest,
smuggling unheard of amounts of cocaine and heroin, earning almost $2 billion while shipping as far as New York and Washington. The two, who grew up in the Little Village neighborhood, have been in the witness protection program since they pleaded guilty to conspiracy in 2012, and their families have been given new identities.
But now you're saying that you were invited to Chapo's wedding. You were going to be like the guest of honor. And you were going to bring his wife a special gift. We know he was an underling. We understand that. He was a worker. I stand by every word I said before, and I'll double down on it. Hello, everyone. This is Jay Flores. There's so many things I want to say. Before I do address it, I want to just explain that this is going to be the last time. I'm disappointed in myself because I let someone get me on the hook. Someone who I have been researching, trying to find any valid information of anything that he says to make sure that I wasn't coming at him and maybe I was wrong. You know, I will admit sometimes I could be wrong, but in this case, I am 100% sure, and I'm gonna double down on everything I said. I'm still kind of lost of how someone could actually just be this fake and lie so much. I did my research, and I'm gonna basically do the research here with you guys. I think that you guys all should be able to do this at home as well. And I will comment on his video in a little bit. I'm not gonna fall into the trap of some of the things he said. I don't have an issue with his opinion. Again, this is my opinion, which should be factual based on my research. I bought all three of his books, so I'm supporting the cause. I gave him 5 stars because he put in a lot of good work, and I think he would do a great job to be in the urban fiction type of genre. I'm sure he could probably compete with Jaquavis Coleman, a good friend of mine. Big shouts out to him. But one thing's for sure is that he said some things about me and my brother and stuff like that. And everyone knows that I've admitted that I cooperated. I don't have no excuses. I say this over and over again. I explain why I'm doing this, why I'm sharing my story, is basically using it as a cautionary tale to hopefully deter someone from entering the life, or hopefully, helping someone or inspiring someone to change their life and doing the right thing, and hopefully saving a life in the process. Mr. Tompkins doesn't know much about me. He doesn't know that I am currently a law enforcement consultant, and I actually have seminars where I train law enforcement on real knowledgeable information coming from a firsthand experience. In order to do that, you have to be vetted. So I've been vetted by many, and this is what I'm doing in your case. So here I'll begin with talking to my personal assistant who never fails me. Echo, please research Mr. Donald Wayne Thompkins, El Primo. Give me any information you have of this individual. His alleged criminal network expanded across multiple U.S. states. And he even was supposedly working with artists and executives and studios alongside well-known personalities like Usher and Justin Bieber. Oh, so he probably attended some Diddy parties as well. Tompkins claims his work took him to Mexico. He portrays himself as a high-level executive within the Sinaloa Cartel. That's funny. I am looking for factual resources, including any federal indictments or federal grand jury statements or testimony related to Mr. Tompkins. You could also research Mr. Mario Mesa Nunez and see if El Primo's name comes up on those indictments or any federal paperwork, as well as research Mr. Tompkins' credibility. Please do a cross-reference on his name in any major drug trafficking indictments across the United States. In searching federal indictments or credible sources connected to Donald Wayne Thompkins, as known as El Primo, no verified indictments, grand jury testimonies, or federal court records directly confirm his alleged association with the Sinaloa Cartel or high-profile figures. His book, El Primo, The Black Hand of the Sinaloa Cartel claims involvement with figures like El Chapo and Mario Nunez Mesa, also known as Emmett 10. However, these assertions lack corroborating records within available federal documentation. Yes, I could give me the whole review and any additional information you could find on Mr. Tompkins, also known as El Primo, or any cartel related cases. No verified indictment records, U.S. government documents specifically named Tompkins. Echo, in Mr. Mario Nunez indictment, is there any distributor that is mentioned in the Detroit, Michigan area? I'm suspecting that maybe he could have changed his name and he is this very big lord who is hiding his identity. Could you cross reference any names or any involvement that he mentions in the book and cross reference it into any indictments in the Mario Nunez case? Plausible that he operated independently or with lesser known networks, not officially documented in large federal cases involving Nunez Mesa and the core Sinaloa leadership. Oh, that's unique, huh? That basically goes against everything that Mr. Tompkins, El Primo, says. I think this says a lot. I just want to start it off in the proper way. You showed some paperwork, and again, many people are saying, who am I to actually ask for paperwork? I'm not saying that I care if he cooperated or not, and most likely he probably cooperated. I was just saying, show some paperwork that will give some factual information of some of the things that he's claiming, because he claims a lot. This is not biased research. I've been, doing this basically all day. I didn't think it was going to go this far. I regret even wasting my time on someone who could be this much of a liar and go to this extent to, sell this fabricated story. But since I started, I wanted to make sure that I addressed any things that he said or in the Connect YouTube interview, as well as in the video he did about me. I just want to see what it says about, the person he said he's on the same level as. Who is Big Meech? Can you give me any federal indictments or court cases or grand jury statements that mention Mr. Big Meech? Wow, there's a lot of information. Who are the Flores twins? Informants. And we cooperated and turned ourselves in. Testimony could become pivotal in the prosecution of Chapo and high-ranking cartel member, leading to convictions and life sentences for several key figures. Oh, there you go. Echo, please research Mr. Donald Wayne Thompkins' book, El Primo, and give me 10 bullet points on things that he could have exaggerated on, lied about, or embellished. Wow. Is there anything to back up the claims that El Primo was involved directly with El Chapo Guzman or El Mayo Zambada? Other Sinaloa Cartel boss than Mario Nunez Mesa? Please research the web for any court documents or anything that could support his claims in his book. Mr. Tompkins' book is called El Primo, The Black Hand of the Sinaloa Cartel. Is there any direct links other than Mr. Nunez Mesa that links him to the Sinaloa Cartel? Just to make sure, please give me the websites that have any information on Mr. Donald Wayne Tompkins. If you find his name in any federal indictments, court cases, grand jury statements, testimony, please provide that information, but I really want to know where you're getting this information from. Please state the links or sources. Oh, oh, great. So all the information that AI knows about comes from Amazon and Thrifty Books, basically his book. No federal records or indictments confirm his stated ties beyond potential mentions of Mario Nunes. Goes to show you, most of the things that he said in his video in response to me were all about who he calls chief, who he calls his boss. So if he has a boss who is a lower level cartel member who is more of an enforcer, how could he actually state that he was involved with big figures like El Chapo or Mayo and he was doing all these big old grand things? And he states it himself that the indictment said a certain number of drugs that were involved and money that was involved that doesn't back up his claims that he has gone on these YouTube channels and said. Donald Wayne Thompkins. So there he is. Let me see. El Primo. Maybe this is him right here. Flint. He was in Division 4 Dicks for sexual trafficking of children. No, I don't think this is him. I mean, I hope this is not him. I don't think it's him. I don't believe this is him. So here's his book again. That's not him. I guess there's nothing on him. It's just his books, I guess. I mean, that's all. So that tells me that maybe he has a fake name. And that could be the issue because he's not showing his paperwork. It's weird how you could find all these things about me and my brother, but we can't find nothing on the biggest drug trafficker in the world. He said he was a Big Meech and a Flores twin combined. He wrote 3 books. Let me see if we could find Mr. Primo in here. You never know, right? You would think for everything he said he was basically, he said was in the leadership and that he was actually fighting in Juarez, and I was scared and I turned myself in and he was there. So maybe his name will be on here. Nope. I wonder if he could do this. I wonder if he will school us. I would love to be wrong. So I want to make it clear. El Primo and Donald Wayne Tompkins only exist on Amazon on his book. It's even hard to find him on YouTube, believe it or not. And this is why I feel even more stupid for even addressing some clown like this. There we are. Okay, so he's hard to find everywhere, guys. Look, I researched him, and the only information I could have on him is information he wrote about himself in his book El Primo, and you could find all that information on Amazon for $24.99. I want to support him because I think he will be a great fictional writer. He should continue writing more books, and hopefully everyone else out there will support him because he could be very entertaining. And just remember, this is a good example of what someone shouldn't do for the spotlight, to come on these platforms and tell lies and talk about people and do all the things that he does. He's basically a big fraud. And, I feel bad for the people of Detroit if this is the person who's representing you guys. The story about me and my brother, I don't hide from it. That's who we are. We are a lot of things, but I don't think fake is one of them. I don't think liars is one of them.
First, let me give a shout out to Johnny Mitchell, the Connect podcast. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to the Flores twins dude, Shail. Go check him out, man. That's a good channel, man. He dropping a lot of good stuff over there, and he bringing you a lot of good stuff uncut.
Oh, here's a great example of him not basically lying. Here we are on Shy L's channel. He has a great channel. Please subscribe, drop a comment. I said this other times as well that some of the things that he does speak on is factual. There's one of the things that he does tell the truth about.
Where they made it is the pinnacle of the unimaginable in street life. In street life. So that's where the appreciation is. I'm a student of history. I respect history ultimately. And for me, they were the beginning of that ideal. Okay, so that being stated and that out the way, I'm about to come for you, Jay.
Man, I want to like him. Seems like he could have been a stand-up dude, and maybe this is something he has to do. That's what worries me. Like, I feel bad. What if he has to do this? What if,
Of my
it was something that he felt like maybe he could have a career on and, hopefully maybe make some money or feed his family or whatever the case is. And that worries me because he seems like he could be a good guy, for the most part. And yeah, I'm kind of torn about this. This is the paperwork he produced. This is not paperwork, guys. This is part of his book, and it's somewhere in his book. I try to find it or whatever the case is. This is not paperwork. I searched it, as you could see, and we couldn't find any paperwork. I bought his books, and for some reason, I couldn't find in that. This is not the way paperwork looks like. Right here, he has related cases. All these people that are related cases right here mention nothing of him. Don't mention him at all. For those of people who are commenting, talking about he did show his paperwork and what else do we want? Like, this is not his paperwork. This is paper with letters on it, and it's a description which I put into the AI chat, and it basically said that it was words put together, that make it sound like it could have been legal documents, but it wasn't. You guys could basically screenshot this and put it into your ChatGPT or AI search engine and see what it comes up with.
It's stated right there in the work. It's right there. And it also stated, as I stated, that Chief, as I identify him in the paperwork right here, it states Mario Nunez Mesa, Maito, aka Mac 10, and all that other good stuff, that he started out with Juarez Cartel. And you keep coming out and saying that he was an underling, he was basically minuscule and pretty much nothing.
Right here, we're talking about, well, he's stating that I said some wrong or some, things about Mario Nunez Mesa. Look, we could talk about him all day, but for what? He was a lower level enforcer, whatever you want to call it, Sicario. All right, just because he had affiliation with the cartel and he was working for the Sinaloa Cartel or whatever, because it doesn't mean that Mr. Tompkins was. Doesn't mean that Primo was. But this is his basic connection. This is what happens to everyone. It happens to all the people who think that because they deal with a Mexican with a hat or whatever the case is or comes from Mexico, they're basically plugged in. Because again, I will state his book title, which he's gonna bring up right now, it's called The Black Hand of Sinaloa Cartel. Really? He self-named himself the Black Hand of Sinaloa Cartel because he had business dealings with enforcer, basically a Sicario named El Mayito, which is 100% accurate and true. El Mayito, as I stated, I had researched him, and 100% he is factual. He is a real person who worked for the Sinaloa Cartel or was under the Sinaloa Cartel as an enforcer, basically at the bottom of the organization. And that was his plug or his connect. It's different though. Than him being the connect or him being the plug or him having like a direct association. That is completely fabricated.
Nothing on me, and you can't find this, that, and the other. But you can definitely find Maito, the butcher.
Yes, that's my whole point. I searched you. Here, the claim is about you. You're basically admitting that there's no paperwork on you. You're admitting that there's nothing on you, but there is a lot of stuff about El Mayito. Okay, that's my point. There's a big difference between sicarios and businessmen. All right, very big difference. And that's my point. You call him chief, and then you said Chapo called you. So which one is it? Is this lower level guy your chief? So great. You met someone who was part of the cartel. Congratulations. That doesn't make you this like cartel member. I'm not sure if you got like jumped in or they did something to you for you to think that or they told you that. But all I'm saying is that that's a big stretch from some of the things that you stated in the Johnny Mitchell, the Connect show. And I could probably, basically make a reaction to all these videos you did, and I'll probably be there for the next 2 days. But this is my point. This is why we're here. And you basically self-admitted it yourself.
I've shown my paperwork, and
No,
you've
you
seen the
didn't.
page that I shown, but I showed two. The other page that I shown has a number of
It's a joke.
Spanish names on there. Well, all Spanish names on there. Myself and my co-dependent, the co-defendant, was placed at the top of that indictment, and there are cartels bosses in that in those names that you've seen.
Well, I just don't see
Those
the
are
list
the
of
actual names that was on my indictment. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you toward the end about a number of them names. And I'm going to use articles from credible sources and things of that sort for the sole purpose because of Jay says that they can't find nothing nowhere.
I'll tell you again, there's nothing on there. I just did the research. I'm telling you again, I stand by every word I said before, and I'll double down on it. Even worse, because I did it. Here he's gonna bring up, El Flaco Salguero. He has no knowledge about, and he stated that he didn't want a history lesson. I'm sure he did a lot of research, but again, he's gonna try to tell, whatever he's gonna say about Noel. And for those people who do know what I'm talking about, Noah and Noel was in a totally different level than the person he's speaking about. There's a difference between a boss and an enforcer. Okay, very different, and he doesn't understand that.
Did my own investigation, and I'm going to show you court documents. I'm going to show you El Chapo's indictment. I'm going to show you the individuals that's on the indictment. You're also going to see Maito's name on that indictment and then the number placement of where his name is. But you're not going to see Neo Salgado or whatever the hell guy he talking about that was so huge in Chihuahua, so on and so forth.
Good example. Here he is. He's not hard to find. You guys could go search his name up. His name is Noel Salguero Navarez, alias El Flaco Salguero. Leader. Okay? He's showing you. This is what I'm talking about. He was the one in charge at the time that he said he was there. And I just want to point something out. I turned myself in November 30th of 2008. Okay? Basically in 2009. He was arrested in 2011. He also stated that he didn't go back to Mexico for some time. So his dates are very messed up. He continues to talk about other paperwork, and he's going to show paperwork, and he's going to show this, but it's nothing with his name on it. We don't even know his real name. The only thing we know is that you could find his information on the Amazon site in the book he wrote. Other than that, there's no information. He continues to ride this guy, El Chief, who he calls El Chief, who he says was his boss, paperwork. And that's not impressive, bro. He was a murderer. Okay. And maybe because he was a murderer, now you feel like you probably have those bodies as well. And because he was supposedly plugged in with Chapo and Mayo, makes you think that you were plugged in your world of make believe. That could be the case. But again, state facts about you. That's what I'm talking about.
That scrimmage that you called a war from '04 was just that. It was a scrimmage. The real season was about to start. And we know from the NFL and NBA that a scrimmage or a preseason is different from the season. As we say, Bugs Bunny would say, you took a left at Albuquerque, buddy. It was about to get rough. And you knew your head could be on the platter. Why?
El Primo is funny because he's talking like he was had a utility vest and an AK, and he was at war in Juarez and in Sinaloa, and that's funny to me. This is what I believe, and this is what I think. You have a spectator sitting, maybe he's sitting, in courtside or on the second row, and he is watching the NBA finals. It's like a spectator telling Steph Curry how to shoot the ball or telling Steph Curry about the game. There's no comparison, bro. And yes, you're the spectator, and I'll be Steph Curry. Or better yet, you're the spectator, and I'll be Michael Jordan, and my brother be Scottie Pippen. You spectated, and you think that, you know, you were in it because the ball probably fell in your lap one time and you threw it back. And now you want to get into the gangster stuff. And I will not get into that. That's your personal opinion. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to come to learn, but that doesn't impress me. I 100% didn't want to be involved in those wars. 100% I did. I tried to avoid them. And I'm glad I did. Because maybe it's me. Maybe it's just I'm too, too much of a sissy or, too scared to want to get killed. But again, maybe that's just me. I'll leave all the tough guys and all the tough work and, to you tough guys.
And you said because you received bricks that had a number of different stamps. You received a number of bricks.
I did not say that what you were saying was true. I'm basically saying what you were saying is false. Stamps and stickers and all that, and that comes from different places, okay? Does the cartel drug trafficking organizations, could they, write over it or something like that, place their own little label on them? Maybe. But listen, it's never been one or two or three of the same of anything, okay? It's always multiple. So again, right here, you're basically, something, but then you don't know. And this goes to show me that you overstated probably one deal that you made or two deals that you made, and there's no such thing as this is Juarez work or this is a Sinaloa work. That's funny, man. That's ridiculous. That you even think that you even say that. Obviously, you don't understand why those labels and stamps exist and how it works. Because if you did, you wouldn't be stating what you're stating, and saying what you're saying. It's nonsense.
They came from a different office. They did not come from the same place. Sinaloa is a federation. Federation meaning that Sinaloa has a number of other factions up under it. So you saying you had bricks of a number of different stamps, and you explain it later. I'll explain it for you to the audience. That's because the bricks that had different stamps, they came from different offices, as I stated, and you knew those people that the bricks came from, but they were all under the Federation of Sinaloa. So stop, man.
It's never the same labels or same brands. It doesn't happen. Coming from someone with lots of experience, it's never the same stamps.
When you got pushed out of Juarez, the state of Chihuahua, you got pushed out of, speaking meaning Sinaloa, got pushed out of Durango. The old man runs Durango. You even got pushed out of Culiacan, where Chapo was.
This right here is ridiculous. Right here, he's just talking. He doesn't know nothing that he's saying. Right here, he just like a fairy tale world. Why even address it? It doesn't even make any sense.
Chapo's paperwork. And this was found on the internet. You can look it up, you can find it, and it got a stamp on it in the top left-hand corner showing the date it was filed and all that. Here it is right here.
So great. He showed real paperwork. This is exactly what the paperwork looks like. Exactly how it looks like. I just doesn't show his name on it, huh? That's weird. I mean, thanks. But this is exactly what I mean. He works against himself. But just to let you know something, this person right here, Germán Olivares, right here, El Paisa, if you go look at my indictment, he's on there. He was a very high ranking lieutenant that ran the Plaza Juarez, who was basically an associate of ours or a partner in us. He wasn't my boss, but he was a partner who worked underneath El Mayo and El Chapo. All right. That's my point. He keeps claiming, that this guy is like supposed to be something. Again, this proves my point.
You see that there was 22 people indicted, and you see where Chief's name was, number 4. And you see Chief brother Armando was right up under him, Mac 11. And this document right here is the one that was on the Western District, Texas website right here. And you see that Maito's name is up much higher because in the other actual indictment, it showed Chapo 1, Old Man Mayo 2, Oliver or whatever 3, because I'm the
Yeah,
worst with the
that
names.
was ours.
It showed
He was the boss for the Juarez.
Maito
area,
for
100%.
Armando 5, which was his brother,
But he wouldn't even
and it
know that.
showed Jaguar as 6. Now I'm about to show you another document right here that tells you exactly who the chief was and what was the understanding between the chief and Chapo. Okay, now you seen that document there. Now go back to the Connect podcast, and I told you
You see how he says hired Nunez?
the lowest you paid was 15,000 for bricks. You're not getting no bricks at 15,000, Karate J. You're not. Okay, but in case you want to question my knowledge on that, we can go there too. I received some at 13. Yes.
This
In
is
the small
very,
market of
very
Detroit and all
possible.
that you're talking
This is
about.
very possible.
Yeah.
So this right here is very possible that they could have put him in on the shipment, and basically he would be responsible for the drugs if they didn't make it. So this is very, very possible. As a matter of fact, each one of the loads that we did, we came with a percentage. So that means that we got a percentage at cost from different areas of Mexico, and we'd be responsible. So this could happen. Now, what he did with him or how he did it, and if he did it, that's a different story. I don't know about that. That's his business. But he also states that there's no way that I could have got him at 15. And just to explain, like, we're on different levels, all right? Very different levels. And I thought 15 was expensive, and I would take him just to do the bosses a favor. And that's me getting my 15. And also, I'm also coming up with a percentage every time. So this is his own ideas and his own thoughts.
For every 100 that I received, he loaned me 25. He loaned me 25 at 13.
That I'm sure he probably did 100, but again, he makes it seem like this happened for him all the time. If that was the case, he'd be probably the wealthiest trafficker that ever existed. Wouldn't it be nice if he showed all his information like this instead of other people? He keeps showing his boss's stuff.
What you were is what I became. I'm on the level with you. My homie Big Meech, very popular, can take nothing from him. He was doing his thing. That's my homie. Meech, and I refer to him as Big Meech as everyone else because he is big. He transcended out of drugs. Meech became an icon, a cultural icon.
I could tell that you're like trying to compare yourself to Big Meech, and you say that you're like me. And I'm gonna tell you, man, that business part of it, my drug trafficking, you know, life is not who I am. It's what I did. You'll never be someone like me. And you saying that, I'm not meaning it from a point of view of what drugs we could traffic, or what, who we were in the streets, and who I know who I was. I know who you weren't. And that's a fact. But I'm talking about as a man, as a human being. Your character says everything about you when you have to sit here and lie.
And that's full respect. Me and you is in another rare air. We were international drug dealers.
So right here, he gives Big Meech his props, and then he kind of tries to put us in a different level. I guess it's great that he sees me in that light. Again, this is not about business. This isn't about what I did, all the bad I did. This is just about the man that we're supposed to be, and the man that he's not. That's for sure.
These are all facts. I presented some of my paperwork to let you guys see that.
They're not facts. Not at all. You didn't present no paperwork. You just presented, some writing that's part of your book.
I've also presented some articles. I also presented some of Chapo's paperwork so your people can go find that, since you keep saying nothing can be found.
You did produce paperwork on Chapo and everyone else, and that could be found. There's no argument. Chapo's probably his name is going to be in every indictment or major drug trafficking case in the United States back in those days.
My Mario Nunez Mesa. Look that name up and click on every damn thing that come up under that, and you will see the stuff I put up here.
That's great. Where's your information? We know he was an underling. We understand that he was a worker. Chapo hired him, and a worker meaning by he was a corrupt police officer that killed people.
Okay, here's the difference between me and you, Karate J.
Mm-hmm.
You like to say, look my name up. You're stating that as if you've done an honorable thing. No, you have not done anything honorable because the government placed that up there because of your participation with the government. But my issue with you, Karate J, is that you don't admit the truth. You telling these kids about the wrong, not dealing with this and all that, and you're absolutely correct, and you're honorable for that. You're honorable for that, and I can respect that. Even though when it comes to me, there's a hidden agenda, and I'm gonna point that out, Karate J. Why don't you tell these kids that this rumor of no snitching and all that is just a rumor? It's just hood folklore that is not real. Why you don't tell them that? Why you don't tell them that Chapo was informing and had the people under him informing, meeting with ICE and different agencies of the American government, giving money, giving information on his enemies, the Flores Cartel? Why don't you tell them kids that? Why don't you tell them kids to stop believing the lies that these old heads or so-called OGs out here doing, putting batteries in their back to go get them to crash out, just so when they get hemmed up, they go and tell on them. Why they think they standing 10 toes down and they get their damn head knocked off in the system. And they get inside the system and got to find out that all niggas in there then told, or either they didn't have shit that the government was interested in hearing. Won't you tell the real facts, Karate J?
El Primo brought up a good point, and obviously he has no clue of what I've been doing for the last few years. First of all, you're the gangster. I'm not gangster enough. We all know that. I'm not you. I'm not Big Meech. I'm not a gangster like that. I could try to say it, and it's part of my projects. It's part of my podcast, Surviving Chapo. Basically, I'm the example. I'm the person who turned myself in. I didn't get caught, Primo. Through this channel, through Try Ill channel, we basically break down all the inner workings of how the people that you probably looked up to, and so many people around the world, and especially in the United States and Mexico, look up to, and how they work and how they operate. Drug lords and Sinaloa Cartel and Chapo and Mayo working with law enforcement and cooperating with them against rivals has been around way before you could even, think of or know anything about any Mexican drug cartel. They've been doing this since the 80s. That's common knowledge. I don't make excuses of why I cooperated, and it's still not accepted because of gangsters like you who tell lies. You would say that, and then you're gonna call me, Karate J, and say that I kick people's, back in. And something tells me that there's some background to you that you're trying to hide. And if that background ever comes out that you could have cooperated, and it's gonna be a great example to say, you know what, that's the difference between you and me. I have no issue saying I cooperated. And I give my reasons why I cooperated. It was selfish. But I never said that it wasn't part of the streets. And you're the OG, so you're talking about yourself. You're probably the person that goes on there and considers it to be a gangster and talks about street code and talks about this and does opposite. Thank God I never labeled myself a gangster. And I don't have to worry about that. I'm considered to be the soft one. I'm considered to be, even by you, thinking that I ran and I did this. And I will tell you, there's a big difference between all of, you gangsters and, someone like me, because I was born in this world. I didn't choose it. I was born in it all my life. This is what I've known. And I don't think you have enough information about me. But Shy Ill's channel is basically a public servant announcement and cautionary videos of what that life is really like. And that's all we talk about. And it's exactly why I'm even on this channel to begin with, and not on every other channel that glorifies and makes that world to be like this great thing to do, or this glamorized life, a movie like you try to explain, and you write books painting the story of how easy it was and how cool it was to be under a chief who killed 350 people. All this BS that you're, sharing with everyone. That's never been me. And I basically dedicate my life to sharing this. People could hate what I did, people could call me a snitch, but me and my brother have lived every drug trafficker, every street dude's dream. You stated yourself. We were at the pinnacle of the cartel world. My brother and I were. We were around dinosaurs of cartel figures, okay? Not many people are going to be able to say that, especially now that they've been in prison. Not true. You could say it, but we know it's false. I walked away from that voluntarily. I cooperated. I reached out to the government voluntarily because I seen firsthand, that I had selfishly made the wrong decisions and had this false beliefs on the world I was living in, and I made that decision to change my life around, and I dedicated my life to that. So for you to say that, and you have no idea, it's another great example that you just like to talk without any factual back into it. And this is where Shy will basically give you probably 30 videos of everything he does here on this channel, and how we actually talk about some of the stuff that people don't like to talk about.
That's why you came for me, Karate J. You came for me because I am the Frank Lucas. I ain't talking about the extra shit he did now. I'm just talking about the one part. Frank Lucas, the
Hey, so this is funny, man. He calls himself Frank Lucas, and he tells me about cooperation and how I should be talking about it, but yeah, he says, "Oh, I'm not talking about that stuff." That's funny to me, man. This guy's a character for sure. And talking about profiting, this is a person who basically lied and wrote 3 books, 3 fictional books. El Primo, the Black Hand of the Sinaloa Cartel. Will I profit off my story? My story. Sure. Will you profit off of everyone else's story, especially your man Mario Nunez Mesa, or Mesa Nunez, whatever his name is? Absolutely, and profit off of lies. And it's funny. I think that's mirrors. I think you're basically talking about that guilt inside.
Frank Matthews. I am the Bumpy Johnson. I am the caliber of those types of this shit right here.
Okay, so he's a bunch of big drug trafficker. He's everything. He's the real G.
Because you can't afford for someone like me. That's my color.
My rule of thumb. She told me 3 things. Mexicans always lie. Mexicans are greedy. And she said they're also jealous of you because of your. She said that. Who knows how true that is?
I am too.
To come and say it and say and prove it, stand 10 toes down on it, that I met and sat and negotiated with the same people you did.
Wow. First of all, you haven't proved anything at all. The only thing you prove is that you keep showing your book. Then you have to throw in the race card. That's insulting to me. Very insulting to me. I don't care if you did business with whoever you did. The only reason why I even did this, and I regret it because I just feel so stupid that I even wasted my time on you, especially after hearing you talk like that, is because you were stating lies. And I was doing a reaction to cartel talk. I addressed them. It has nothing to do with your color of your skin. If you were Mexican, Puerto Rican, white, Asian, and you said something that I believe was a lie or something that was truthful, I would be commenting on that video as well. So for you to throw in the race card, let me explain it to you. Everyone knows enough history set for you that that's not going to be a issue with me. And for you to state that, that just kind of shows, who you are, and says everything about your character.
My rule of thumb. She told me 3 things. Mexicans always lie. Mexicans are greedy. And she said they're also jealous of you because of your. She said that. Who knows how true that is?
I am too.
So you ducked out. You the one that created a spot for me. Because Sinaloa was hemorrhaging. They was hemorrhaging and they couldn't make payments. You know,
That's the funniest thing that he said. You guys picture him right now with, in gun battle and stuff like that, fighting for Mr. Mario Mesa Nunez. That's funny to me. He said, the Sinaloa Cartel couldn't make payment. Wow. You're talking about one of the richest drug trafficking organizations, cartels in the world. Couldn't make a payment. I don't. What could I say? I'm not even going to address it. Again, I will state that this will be the last time I address any nonsense of Mr. El Primo. And I'm mad at myself. I'm disappointed for all those people who actually follow me. Forgive me that I fell into this trap. He's talking about something in 2007. He doesn't state all the information. We can't even see it. Okay, who cares? We know this. And somehow this is how El Chapo told on you. El Chapo set you up. Again, he He says that that was Johnny Mitchell thumbnail, and now he's doubling down.
We have my boss right here. Look at this.
His boss. Remember what he says. His boss.
We see also that my boss, Maito, Mario Nunez Mesa, was also giving information. And I guess I'm making this up too, Karate J. You will receive a ton, 2 tons, 8 tons over a duration of 30 days or whatever the.
But he's the same person that was negotiating. He said 7 to 8 tons of marijuana a week. Basically, he was saying that he was gonna distribute 100,000 pounds of weed a month, or even he even said that I think he sold 4 tons of marijuana in a week. He's basically saying that he was selling 7,000, 6,000 pounds of marijuana a week. That's 24,000 pounds of marijuana a month, bro, in Detroit. That's great, or in Atlanta, whatever he said.
He admitted that if he got those prices in Detroit, he could sell 5,000 of them, right? But for some reason,
Again, I'm saying that because he was never, and even himself when he went on the Connect show, he said he was a weed man, and he states what his indictment was for 800 keys of coke supposedly, and he never talks about coke. Only when he's talking like this, he always talks about weed, and then somehow he mixes the two. That's the only thing that I'm hearing from him, that he basically likes to intertwine. He never says this and that. He's talking about tons. Now he's saying he's moving tons. Listen, all I said is if I got him at 16 in Detroit, to consider, if he's basically telling me that I never got him at 15, that there's no way I got him even at 16. Imagine you got a lower level dude telling me, the prices and what he didn't believe in yet. Right here, he contradicts himself again.
if I got the same price that he talked about, I couldn't do it. Now, he was honest. I mean, Chicago is the hub for these states around Chicago. So that's where the issue came from. But I'm not going to get buried in the weeds on that because he was wrong about a number of things.
Chicago's a hub, meaning it's bigger than every other city. Could take a lot more drugs, could take a lot more of any commodity, legally or illegally, period. That's it. There's nothing to talk about. That's a great explanation. And another example why I state that you're falsifying all the information you're giving.
But when he got off into hating, it was clear that he was hating. Mario Nunez Mesa was also an informant, and he started fighting the Sinaloa Cartel and was kicking their ass. And miraculously, I gets indicted right around that same time. Why?
So I'm not even paying attention, but this paperwork says 2008, and he got indicted. I think he said 2011. So which one is it? I'm not sure. But this is how he's saying that Chapo told on him. Big stretch, but it's a common thing with Mr. El Primo.
And I wasn't getting any work. And Fernando told me, hey.
Oh, you weren't getting any work. And you're the same person that said there's never a drought. I think I heard you say that in one of those interviews you did. You said there's never a drought. But yeah, you weren't getting work. Okay. Man, this is all just, God, man, this is him ranting about who knows what. And again, he stated, I think, when he came on Shayo Live, that was Johnny Mitchell's thumbnail. That it wasn't like that. And I suggested this, and I suggested that he was going to say, I suggested that he was basically saying that Chapo or Mayo told on him because some underlings or some way, somehow, he got arrested. And it's basically what he's saying.
What is my reason for going through all this?
My
reason for going through all that, this is to say, bro, you're not going to disrespect me. We both were ice skating on the edge of destruction.
I disrespect him because I called him out on some bullshit that he said. I will stand on everything I called you out on. I know it's BS. You know it's BS. So
he gave a bracelet to his then girlfriend that he was about to marry because I was supposed to come down in November, and I think I would have probably seen you. I think that was in 06, if I'm thinking right. Maito wanted me to come down because he said there's a big party he wanted.
All right. I was hoping that he didn't say nothing else again. But again, so which one is it? He said he worked with the cartel for 3 years. He got indicted in 2011. Now he's saying that he was invited to Chapo's wedding when he clearly stated that Mayito was part of The Juarez Cartel, which was the rival of the Sinaloa Cartel, up until when? The years don't add up, bro. That's exactly what I mean. You just basically contradicted everything you said. These are your words. We're just so tired of your BS that we're just gonna leave it there and let everyone else go look for it. But you stated that. You stated that you only dealt with the cartel for 2.5, 3 years. You got in that in 2011, I think April, if I recall. You saying, but now you're saying that you were invited to Chapo's wedding. You were gonna be like the guest of honor, and you were gonna bring his wife a special gift. And you keep saying that your name and Chapo's name is all over it. And I'm just saying, like, this is a great story. I love the story about the Rolex and the Cartier and stuff. And you buying 3 Rolexes. Let's see it, bro. Why can't we see it? Why not come with the receipts? Only reason why I say these receipts is because it's the only thing that we could have that would back up your claims. Again, the only reason why we're here is because I have a problem with what you're selling. Because you're still selling some BS. I don't dislike you. I don't hate you. I don't wish nothing bad about you. I want you to. Hopefully, your books make the New York Times bestseller. Like, I mean that. I never been a hater. That's not never who I've been. And I think this is a great example for all the young youth out there and for everyone else that we could have a disagreement on something and still be able to be okay. You admit some of the things that you were wrong on. I admitted on some of the mistakes I made trying to undersell myself. I still haven't corrected myself for anything I said about you, that's for sure. El Primo only exists on Amazon. He named himself El Primo, I guess, and has 3 books called El Primo Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. That's the only place you get information from. In all his videos that he's done, all he talked about was moving weed. Tons and tons and tons of weed. And somehow, some way, he became the man. And then he states in the Johnny Mitchell, the Connect interview, that his indictment had 800 kilos of supposedly him. An indictment we can't see. So which one is it? Are you the weed man or you're the man? Or you're just make-believe man? Great example of you just fabricating stuff and lying, and you put a spin on probably truths and embellish a lot. I'm gonna say this respectfully, I wish you nothing but the best. I wish you and your family well. Forgive me if I ruined your parade, and this is important to me. I want to thank Shy Ill for giving us a platform, and there's so many different videos on his platform. He covers multiple cartel videos, and we actually talk about these false beliefs of what the cartel is, and we point out some of how the cartel works and who these people really are, and we shed light on that in hopes that people will see the other side of it and go away from it and use it more as a deterrent.
My rule of thumb. She told me 3 things. Mexicans always lie. Mexicans are greedy. And she said they're also jealous of you because of your. She said that. Who knows how true that is?
I am too.